Hi, Connor. Can you hear us?
Good evening, everyone. I call the regular council meeting of Wednesday, May 7th to order. First of all, we begin with the moment of reflection and respect. Thank you. Item 3, confirmation of the agenda. We have a number of additions to the agenda. We have a resolution.
That council adopts the agenda for the meeting of May 7th, 2025 with the following additions. A memo regarding appointments to the Bylaw Appeals Committee as the final action item and its associated bylaw. Correspondence from Cynthia Grant, Steve Blankenship, and Wayne Gavey regarding official plan amendment 01-25 and zoning bylaw amendment 01-25 respecting 22 Wellington Street, as well as additional conceptual site plans from Connor Wilkes regarding official plan amendment 01-25 and zoning bylaw amendment 01-25 respecting 22 Wellington Street.
Okay, thank you. Mover and seconder. Councilor Rosier, Deputy Mayor Barber. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Item 4, are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Item 5, delegations. We have a public meeting under the Planning Act. First, we need a resolution to enter the public meeting. Resolution.
That council do now commence a public meeting at 7:01 p.m. to receive input from the public with respect to application for official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendments for 22 Wellington Street, Elmer.
Mover and seconder, Councillor Chapman and Councillor Ozlach. I'm sorry, Councillor Chapman and Councillor Ozlach.
This public meeting is taking place under the Planning Act 1990 as amended. At this public meeting, council will hear public representations regarding planning evaluation report, application for official plan amendment 01-25 and zoning bylaw amendment 01-25 for 22 Wellington Street made by Sycamore Holdings Incorporated. Please note that those who do not provide comment or written submission prior to the decision of the appropriate planning authority may not be afforded the right to appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal. Council will hear comments in the following order. Presentation of the staff report by the Manager of Planning and Development, agent or applicant, the public, and staff and the clerk.
Okay, thank you. I didn't call the vote on the resolution, so all those in favor of the resolution to move into the public meeting, and that's carried. Thank you. Item 3, could the Manager of Planning and Development please provide the report?
Good evening. Thank you, Your Worship. The purpose of the application for the official plan amendment is to redesignate the subject lands from medium-density residential to high-density residential. And this is to permit a 3-story, 22-unit residential apartment building. The purpose and effect of the zoning bylaw amendment is to rezone the subject lands from support commercial. Sorry?
We're having trouble hearing.
Okay. Okay. I don't know how close I need to be to the microphone here. Is this good? Is this good right now?
That's
Okay, it's a little awkward here, but I'll try my best. Okay, the purpose of the zoning bylaw amendment is to rezone the subject lands from support commercial, C2, to residential multiple second density, special provision zone, RM2-13. And this zone is required to facilitate the construction of the apartment building. And within this RM2-13 zone, the owner is requesting relief from lot frontage from 30 meters to 26 meters, interior side yard depth from 5.2 meters to 4 meters, rear yard depth from 6 meters to 4 meters, and the setback for the parking area to the street line from 6 meters to 2.795 meters. Figure 1 shows the location of the subject lands. You'll see in this area to the north, we have a townhouse, one-story townhouse development. To the south, we have a commercial business. To the east, on the north or southeast corner of Wellington Street and Sydenham Street West, we have a residential property with 4 units. And then kind of on the northeast corner, we also have a commercial business. Moving on to figure 2 is the site plan that has been provided for this development. As you can see, the building has been pushed to what would be to the back part of the property, kind of towards the westerly side of the property. Parking will be kind of flanking the entrance as you come in off of Wellington Street, as well as along the front part of the building. The landscaped and green space areas will be also along the sides in the front yard, as well as around the interior side yards and at the rear yard. In terms of planning policy review, I reviewed the provincial policy statement, and the proposed applications are consistent with the provincial policy statement of 2024. I also reviewed the County of Elgin official plan, current plan, as well as the adopted plan from 2024. And I can also state the proposed applications conform to the county plan existing, as well as the adopted plan. Moving on to the Town of Aylmer official plan. As I mentioned, this is a redesignation, so we are changing the official plan designation on this property from medium density to high density. And the reason why the official plan amendment is required, it's because of the density. Within our official plan, we have a limit on the number of units you can have per gross hectare within the medium density designation for residential, and unfortunately just exceeded that. So therefore, it needs to move to be redesignated to the high density residential, and this proposed development does meet the high density residential requirements for for the number of units per hectare. I also reviewed the site suitability criteria within the official plan, and this proposed development does meet that. It's important to note a traffic memo has been prepared for this property, which demonstrates the local road networks are capable of supporting the type and volume of traffic that'll be anticipated from this development. It's also important for you to be aware that site plan approval will also be a requirement should this development be approved. Within site plan approval, such things as landscaping, fencing, outdoor storage areas, parking areas, lighting, et cetera, will be incorporated within the design and within the site plan agreement. So therefore, the proposal meets the criteria to permit high-density residential, and therefore the proposed official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment are appropriate for this property. Therefore, the proposed official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment will conform to our official plan, subject to the official plan amendment coming into effect. Moving on to the Town of Aylmer zoning bylaw. As I mentioned, we are rezoning the subject lands from C2 to RM2-13 with a number of special provisions that are required to facilitate this development. It's important to note the reduced lot frontage exists on this property. This is an existing lot, and this will not impede access to the property. The reduced interior side yard depth will still provide adequate area around the building and buffering between neighboring properties. The reduced rear yard depth and reduced setback between the parking area and the street line is required in order to provide the required number of off-street parking spaces and barrier-free parking spaces. Lastly, it's important to note the proposed development meets all other RM2 regulations. Therefore, the proposed zoning bylaw amendment will come into compliance with the zoning bylaw, subject to the zoning bylaw coming into effect. In terms of other issues or matters, as I already mentioned, should these applications be approved, site plan approval will be a requirement. Moving on to consultation, the application was circulated to town staff for comment. The Director of Operations and Infrastructure provided comments. The comments basically state that the traffic impact brief that was submitted in support of the amendments dated April 4th, 2025 from Dillon Consulting concludes that the proposed development will not have adverse effects on the existing road system. No existing traffic operational issues exist on the surrounding roadways. The additional traffic resulting from the proposed development is anticipated to be negligible. The proposed development must be connected to the town's servicing system. Also, a lot grading plan must be completed to outlet storm drainage to a legal and adequate outlet. A functioning servicing report and stormwater management report will be required to proceed with the site plan application. Also received comments from public agencies, received comments from Canada Post, generally are kind of our typical comments that we would see for this type of building, essentially requiring the owner to install a mail panel within the lobby of the building. Southwest Public Health, they've started commenting on planning applications again, which is nice to see, and they are in support of these proposed applications. So in conclusion, it's my opinion that the proposed local official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment are consistent with the provincial policy statement, and they conform to the County of Elgin's official plan. And I recommend that the request for the official plan amendment be adopted and the zoning bylaw amendment be approved. Now, we have received concerns that have come in. I will go over those concerns. We did receive a petition that has been signed by Mark Doran, John Froese, Ian Cameron, John Hewson, Dale Payson, Cynthia Grant, and Hugh McKenzie. I also received a similar letter as well from Steve and Georgina Blankenship and Audrey and James Farmer. The concerns between these two letters are that the height of the building creates a massive block outsizing the surrounding areas. The build is not on one of the major streets of Aylmer. The reduction in the minimal amount of space from the road suggests that the frontage would become a parking lot, resulting in an eyesore, and just as importantly, affect an already busy road area with the liquor store in the lot to the south. So in response to the height of the building, directly to the north of this building is a 2-story walk-up apartment building. Across the road from this to the east, there is a 3-story residential home that has been converted, and there's a total of 4 units on that property. So there's already kind of an example of homes where they've already been converted either from single detached to multi-unit dwellings. They are covering over multiple floors, or as in the case with the property directly to the north, there's a 2-unit or 2-story apartment building. As well, it's important to note that directly to the north of that building is a 1-story apartment dwelling complex. In terms of it's not built on one of the major streets in Aylmer, so I believe what they're referring to as major, maybe arterial streets. So we only have 2 arterial streets, I believe, that being Talbot Street and John Street, and I believe we also have collector roads. Would this be one of those type of roads? Okay, so this would be in the vicinity of collector roads. Collector roads also are areas where you can have higher densities as well for this type of residential development. And the comment regarding the reduction in the minimal amount of space from the yard suggests that the frontage would become a parking lot. With apartment type dwelling properties, parking is a requirement, and we want to ensure there is sufficient parking. And in many of these type of developments, parking does flank the entrances, or as you come into the entrance, there is a parking area in front of the building. So it is quite common to see this. And the design that's proposed is quite common in what we receive here at the town for other types of developments. If you did see in the drawing that was shown, they are showing some green areas kind of north of the parking area in what we'd call the front yard. So they are trying to create as many green areas as possible within the front of this property. I also received a letter this afternoon from Wayne Gavey. The concerns were regarding the 3-story building and regarding a tree that he identified as heritage that's sitting in the backyard of the commercial property to the south, the LCBO property. I've looked at some mapping. It appears as though that tree is sitting on the LCBO property. So if there was any concerns about any branches that overhang into this property, that would have to be a matter that would have to be discussed between property owners. Trees and tree branches that overhang into properties, that's a civil matter that the town is not involved with. That is generally addressed through with property owners talking and discussing if there's concerns about trees. So subject to any further concerns coming forward tonight at this public meeting, my recommendations are for council to adopt the official plan amendment and for the zoning and bylaw amendment to be approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that report, Heather. Next item is asking if the applicant or an agent for the applicant is present and wishes to speak. Is there applicant or the agent here or online?
Good evening. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Perfect, thank you. Good evening, Your Honorable Mayor and members of council. My name is Connor Wilkes. I'm an agent acting on behalf of the property owner of 22 Wellington. I first off want to thank Heather for her work on this file. We agree with staff's recommendation, and I'm here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Very well, thank you. Were there members of the audience that contacted you about speaking?
I do believe there are members in attendance.
Sure. Any members in attendance who wish to speak, please approach the mic and give your name.
My name is Cynthia Grant, and I'm going to speak on behalf of several citizens with long roots in the town. So I'll start with 2 of the signators live within a block of the proposed building, and their families have owned there between 75 and 100 years. In the case of the Camerons, it may be longer than 100 years. And I particularly feel for Ian Cameron, whose home is across the street from the LCBO, who tried to prevent the 4th unit going into the cited property that was mentioned as an apartment unit complex. It's a house that's been converted. In his case, he took a heritage property that his father had lived long in and worked with Keith Hunt to make it one of the most beautiful homes in Aylmer. Some people think it is the most beautiful home in Aylmer. And now it's ignored when you discuss the neighborhood. Some of the other signatories were active on a heritage committee, which predates some of you either being in Aylmer or being aware of that. But for several years, there was an active heritage committee. Keith Hunt, Dale Payson was part of that. And certainly John Houston is someone very concerned with Aylmer as a town and heritage. And so when we look at what's going on, we see a number of heritage properties, and we see something really big, a huge footprint on that property. I confess I was a bit confused about where the parking was, so I would still the setback means that the property comes closer to the road than is allowable according to the chart. I got confused and thought they were doing parking, so I withdraw that part. I guess a big thing for some of us is, where does it stop with Aylmer? Will Aylmer try to preserve the sense of the beauty of the town? Or is this just willy-nilly development that's going to happen? Mr. Sinden and he's younger than I am, but I get the Sinden names mixed up, for many years owned the property and had a beautiful design of townhouses ready to go, but he couldn't get the funding together. Those of us who have lived here a long time know the Sindens, and I'm not surprised he couldn't get the money together. But to move this far, this big, this tall, with this amount of density, when you come down that street and the first set of buildings is supportive housing, and it's beautifully designed. And it's been successful. It's across from the McDonald's. And then we're going to have this monstrosity on the street. Any of the reductions of minimal amount of space from borders, I think, should be looked at. And personally, I think that unless there's a very strong reason, in this case, to go from medium residential density to high residential density, many of us would hope that the town would understand that it's not harmonious with the neighborhood, and that the town councilors and the town itself has to look at what's the vision for the town. Tillsonburg has a wonderful vision document. I don't know whether you've all had a chance to read it. I spoke to some of the people involved with developing it because I'm quite impressed by it. And I don't see something similar when I may have missed it on the civic portal. But these are, we're asking that you limit the density and you take a look at the design. And along with that, you not allow it to go as big as it's proposing, because it violates what the, according to the chart, is an acceptable distance in at least two areas. So that's why we're taking the time. I think Steve has a couple of questions of clarification, although much of it became clear. But just because you can do it doesn't mean you do it, right? Anyways.
Thank you, Ms. Grant. Someone else? I think Steve, Mr. Blankenship, somebody else. Please give your name.
I had a question about the building. Will it have an elevator?
We're going to have Connor.
Did the agent answer that?
Connor, maybe repeat.
What, Connor, will the building have an elevator? And my concern is that that it's going to be young families, and I think we're looking more for seniors to live in that area to suit the the community there.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, I shared the floor plans with Heather earlier today, but the apartment building will have an elevator, and the mix of units, so they're investors or young families or individuals that are looking to get into the housing market. So I don't know if Heather wants to share the floor plans or not, but yeah, there will be elevators, and yeah.
Maybe just mention it first.
Okay, my
First part of his response. Sorry, Connor, part of your response there cut off. You were saying that there was, describing who you expect the inhabitants to be?
Where did it cut off? Did you hear my answer about the elevator?
Right at the
We
beginning.
heard the elevator and then it cut off when you were talking about who might be there.
Yeah, no worries. Yes, so like I said, I shared the floor plans with Heather, and the unit count. It's going to be a range of 1 and 2 bedroom units within this proposed development, and those units typically are geared towards either empty nesters, retirees, or young families that are looking to get into the housing market. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And I guess my other comment is that the official plan was just recently changed in that area as early as 2010, I believe, or 2011. So it seems like another change, now it doesn't really suit the need of the community. I'm also concerned about the height. 3 stories in that area will block the sun, and the other buildings are lower. If you could keep it to two floors, and preferably all ground level units, of course, but I would be okay with 2 floors. My name is Rodney Clausen, by the way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clausen.
Steve Blankenship, Elmer, Council and Gallery. I really don't have it's free enterprise, so I understand what's going on, but I wish somebody from Council will give me, or anybody here, will give me their definition of density. Now, that's an empty lot. Does density mean you're going to make it higher? And I can understand by some of the dimensions, it's going to be condensed a bit more. So does that mean it's going to be higher, or was it going to be originally 2 floors? So I hope somebody can define that for me, because, you know, if there's an existing building there and what it was designated as maybe residential, like particularly the one on Center Street in Sydenham that's owned by Cherry Street, that's just falling apart. So it's going to be tore down sometime because they don't respect the building, but that's beside the point. I thought I'd throw that in there. But so how do we calculate that? Is it a municipal thing or is it a provincial thing? How do we calculate density?
Density is listed in the official plan designations, and we have within, for instance, the medium density designation for residential, we have a maximum density, and then within the high density residential designation, we have like a minimum density and a maximum density. So density can be multiple things. So it's number of units per gross hectare, and it's based on
Hector?
per gross hectare.
Yes.
So it's based on, so we just don't take that lot area into a calculation. It's based on a hectare of land, and that's where this calculation comes from for density.
So many people can live in that hectare when it's designated as which density? Is that correct?
No, it's within the amount of units that can be per block as part of a hectare. It's the way in which it's defined within the official plan.
So who designates that?
It's on the website within the official plan.
But we're in the room.
I can't print them right now at this moment.
So is that provincial or is that municipal?
It's municipal.
So does Aylmer have any, let's say, can they do anything to change that themselves, like per hectare?
Yes, this document is approved by this council. It's adopted by this council. It's approved by Elgin County Council. Any changes to the official plan is subject to this council's approval.
Okay, so in this particular situation, we're going up 1 density, right? We're going to high.
Correct.
So can you explain to me why?
That's based on the application, and the reasons why is because the number of units that are being proposed exceeds the current designation this property sits in.
So was that in the building plan to go higher anyway?
I was given 1 building plan, and it shows 3 floors, 22
So originally
units.
so they're
This
just,
is the application as it's been submitted.
okay, so they came in with the intent that they would
Yes.
build 3 stories, and then they just get the density changed.
They're making a request to council.
Okay.
Anyone has a right to submit a planning application to have their request considered by council. As you've probably seen from multiple council meetings and planning meetings.
Yeah, and
Not all the time things are approved.
And that,
So they're
exactly.
just asking for a request from this council.
Yeah, I understand what they're requesting, but I just wondered what the intention was originally.
This has always been the original intention.
Okay.
Well, this person, this
Good evening, I'm Shaila. I'm a resident of the 18 Wellington, which is the duplex on the side of the proposal building that you're planning to build. What I'm finding that it would interfere with the demographic of what all the neighborhood is. It is 1 level or 2 levels, and 3 levels is something that it's not in the similar level around this neighborhood, and also it's a very quiet, peaceful area. It's a family place, even it's beside LCBO. So the 3 levels, it will stop also the view that I have, the building I'm living already, and it's not in similar level as the other building beside that. So, and also the crowd with the, I don't think so there is enough parking for that 3 levels for that many residents. So for a small town, peaceful area, it will bring in that street a lot more people, traffic, and it will interfere with the 2-level demographic that we see around that area. Thank you.
Good evening, Your Worship and Council. My name's Joe Braga. I have a question. Are these rentals or are you able to buy these apartments?
I think I can likely answer, we don't plan for use, so I don't think.
Sorry?
We don't plan activity we plan for the actual development. It's essentially, we couldn't hold the developer to either or.
Right, so he did say it's to get into the housing market, which means you have to buy them. So if you buy them, then they're condos, no?
It would be conjecture for us without somebody making a plan of condominium. The developer could change it and we couldn't hold it to them.
I just want to know, if I'm renting, how am I going to get into the housing market?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I can answer that. The intent of these is to be for purchase, so condominiums.
So they're condos. Okay, that's all I needed was the clarification. Thanks. Thank you.
Anyone else from the public? I noticed the manager of planning had mentioned this communications. Has the clerk received any other communications?
Nope, the only communications have been received by council at this time.
Thank you. Members of the committee, have questions or comments? Councillor Chapman.
Through you, Your Worship. I do have a concern about traffic. I can tell you that when McDonald's is getting a delivery, there is so much congestion in that area. People trying to get into the drive-through actually block the road. So I'd like to know who did this study and at what time of day this study was done, because there'll be 10 cars trying to get through that small area from Sydenham to Talbot, and now you're going to put 22 units in there and create even more of a traffic jam. So I want to know what time of day this traffic study was done.
I'll have Connor speak to that.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Again, I'm not a traffic expert, but we at Dillon Consulting have traffic engineers that conduct our traffic studies for us. And a typical traffic study will be done analyzing traffic data counts through multiple seasons and at multiple times of the day. But the 2 key items within the traffic analysis is the AM trips and the PM trips being generated from this type of development. And as Heather previously stated, there would be no negative impact on the function of the surrounding road network based on this development. And I'm sorry if you can't hear me properly, I'm getting over a cold, so I've lost my voice.
Councillor Chapman.
Through Your Worship, to Connor. What do you mean by that? I mean, are you talking about the function of the road or the traffic?
So what do you mean? Do you mean by when I mention AM and PM? It's like they analyze trips in the morning rush hour and in the nighttime rush hour. So that, to answer your first question, that's when the traffic counts are analyzed, and then by those trips, so the number of units that come from this, like, there's a number of cars that are going to be here, and the trips that are generated from this development will not have a negative impact on the function of the streets, meaning the traffic flow in the streets in the surrounding neighborhood.
Can I comment?
Sure.
I drive that road every day. And I know what the traffic congestion is from Sydenham to Talbot. So, like, again, I don't know who did your study, but maybe they should do it again on different days. Maybe coordinate with McDonald's and see what happens in that area on a regular basis. Because there are so many near misses in that area on a regular basis. Not only that, there's cars parked on the side of the road. You have to stop and wait just to get down the road. So the traffic in that area is a concern.
So to answer that question, the trips that are calculated isn't just on a one-day basis. It's usually over a large period of time. And the traffic report was done by a professional traffic engineer at Dillon Consulting, who has their professional designation in traffic studies.
Councillor Desrosiers?
So sorry. So just to confirm then, you said it was a traffic consultant from your own firm who did it? It wasn't a third party?
Dillon Consulting is a consulting group, so we provide services for a variety of different engineering-related services. One of them being planning, like myself, I'm a land development planner. We also have structural engineers, civil engineers. We also have traffic engineers. So a lot of clients come to us because we can provide services for them for kind of like a one-stop shop. We can do their civil engineering, planning, traffic, landscape architecture. So yeah, hopefully that answers that question.
To follow up, thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I want to thank the residents, the several residents that have come and spoken. I know it's not an easy task, especially when you're put in the spotlight, so I appreciate the engagement and having that communication. In saying that as well, I also agree with the concerns brought forward from Councillor Chapman and a lot of the concerns that have been brought forward from the residents as well. My fear is knowing the agenda of the province. If council is to not approve this application based on the concerns that we all have, what happens then? Does this application go to the land tribunal or to the province, whatever? And is it then expedited because of the province's personal agenda? Can staff maybe provide clarity on that?
I'll let Andy answer that question.
I could maybe start, and maybe Heather might want to jump in at the end. It is a very good point. I think if council is considering not approving or going with the planner's recommendations, you really need to have sound planning justification for not doing that. I've heard of a lot of things raised, but none of them I don't think are planning justifications for a denial at this point. I have sat through planning hearings in the city of Hamilton where the OMB was still in power 12 years ago, where people were arguing a 3-story building did not meet the design or character of a neighborhood, and the OMB turned that over that long ago. And since that time, the province has just moved towards more intensification and more development. So I do think that municipalities are the creatures of the province, and to some degree, a lot of our local decision-making is limited based on the fact that the province has given a clear desire to see intensification and growth occur. But with this specific file, I would ask maybe Heather to talk about the appeal. If council did decide to not approve, what would we potentially be looking at for appealability?
So, should council decide to refuse this application, you're actually not the approval authority. Elgin County is. So you would be refusing to adopt the official plan amendment. It would go on to Elgin County. Elgin County would receive the report, the bylaws, the council minutes, and your resolution refusing to adopt. So Elgin County Council would have to make a decision on whether they would be supportive of Elmer Council's decision to refuse the application. So that's the first point, is the approval body, that being Elgin County, should then, if it's a refusal of an Elgin County approval authority, then it gets into, I believe, a joint Elgin County Town of Elmer appeal. And that gets a little bit, there's a little more complications to it. Again, the county's official plan is very clear. The new official plan is clear about housing and housing densities and meeting housing targets for municipalities. The new provincial policy statement of 2024 is also very clear about municipalities, especially that have full services, to try to increase their housing intensification as much as possible and create what's called complete communities. So it's kind of challenging, as I said, it's kind of challenging for me to go much further beyond that. It's hard for me to know what the outcome would be with an approval authority resting at Elgin County.
Councillor Shozi and then Councillor Raleigh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Does council have, through you, Mr. Mayor, to staff, does council have any alternative options? Could we defer this file and ask, or this application, and ask for a additional traffic study from a third party? Like, do we have any other options that, just to collect more information for our considerations?
Go ahead, Andrew.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I think if council wanted to base a planning rationale around the traffic study, you could certainly either peer review the one done by Dylan, or I think that would be the next step. But as you've heard, it was done by a well-established professional firm. I don't think that we would anticipate that anything different would come out of that exercise. So, I would always suggest to council that if you're going to deny something, you try to find a planning justification for basing such a decision on. And I think there is a bit of a challenge on trying to find a planning justification on why council wouldn't approve this one. That's I think the struggle for council. If you really wanted to get into it, I guess you could direct staff to go find another planner to argue against our own planner, but I wouldn't recommend that as being a valuable exercise within the policy framework that we currently exist within.
Councillor Raleigh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you. There's a couple things I'm struggling with here. The first thing is the actual property. I don't like how tall it is, because I do think I understand both sides. It makes sense to go up instead of to go wide. You can stack more stuff on top of each other than having it spread out. It does make sense. The thing that I guess is kind of irritating me right now is from what I'm hearing is that we actually have no say in it. So I don't understand why we're all here. Like, we could all say no, and then it's just going to get passed anyways. It shouldn't be up to the county. It's not the county's town. It's not the province's town. So if anyone here on council doesn't want it to happen, I think it's bullshit. I think it's wrong that that's what everyone is pushing right now. It shouldn't be up to the consulting. It shouldn't be up to, Dylan Consulting. It shouldn't be up to the county. It shouldn't be up to the province. It's the reason why we're here is to make the decision. So if we don't want it 3 stories high, or if we don't want it high density, then we shouldn't have to allow it. And I think that's actually making me more irritated than the actual building. Thank you.
Any other comments from council? Deputy Mayor Barber.
Thank you, Your Worship. From my background in planning, from a planning perspective, the application is reasonable. The variances that are requested are not unreasonable. As was stated in all the dialogue up to now, it would appear that it would be a very difficult position that the town would be in to challenge the denial of the application if it moved forward into the Land Tribunal or even through Elgin County. If the development was to proceed, as in other developments that have been similar to this, the only thing that I would ask for is fencing on the applicable sides where there is a separation between residential and commercial spaces, as we did on the John Street building yard development proposal, something similar to that. But to deny it, I don't believe would be in the best interest of the town, understanding the concerns of the people that have expressed concerns this evening. Thank you.
Councillor Desrosiers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, just seeking some clarification. I didn't suggest we deny the application. I suggested that we could defer it and seek a further traffic study by a third party, not by the consultant themselves. If we're able to do that, that's what my suggestion would be. And then at that point, if a traffic study did come back with concerns, is that planning reason to reject the application?
You can ask for a deferral resolution once we come to the resolution.
Can I have that question answered, though?
Sorry, the question again was, can we defer it?
No, is that, like, I want to defer it, obviously, but if we defer it to seek a third-party traffic study, and that traffic study does come back with concerns, is that planning reason enough to deny the application? I would like clarification on that.
Heather?
So within our official plan policies, we do have a section that speaks to site suitability. So one of the things in site suitability speaks to transportation and transportation networks and vehicular movement of vehicles. If council decided to hire another party, another traffic engineer to go, or transportation engineer, pardon me, to go and do another study, and it comes back that there is significant concerns, and when I say significant, it would have to be greatly significant concerns. Yes, it would definitely impact the ability for myself to be able to view this meeting the criteria of our official plan in terms of transportation.
I just add, though, to Heather's as well, I think we would still, there's a timeline involved with council and either our council or the next council not making a decision. And if the traffic studies are done seasonal, they could take 6 months to do that work, in which case we would be simply, the developer, I believe, could just appeal. And there would be no decision made here or at the county level at all.
Okay, one more. Councillor Barber.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. If we were to defer it and ask for another traffic study, who's paying for that?
It would be at the town's expense.
Okay, can I have one follow-up? Again, through you, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, Heather's disagreeing with me. We would, without,
Well, it can go two ways. It can either be at the developer's expense or the owner's expense, or at the town's expense, the decision of council.
okay. I think at minimal, if we were gonna make the developer pay for it, we would probably have to do a peer review of their own traffic study report first.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Did you have a follow-up on that, Councillor Barber?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Just a comment. I can see the concerns and respect the concerns of the citizens and the property owners around this, but I also struggle when I listen to our planner stating the reasons for why we should approve it and saying no to housing, knowing how many people out there are actually looking for housing, and hopefully this could be something that maybe could be affordable for people to get into the housing market. So I have a problem denying it based on that, but I struggle with it because I don't want to ignore the concerns of the citizens. So that's kind of where I'm at.
All right. And one further, I think we've discussed this enough. Councillor Rahim.
I just kind of got, it still irritates me that because I won't swear, that it's not our fault that they decided to bring something for this property that this property wasn't meant for. So I still don't understand why that's thrown back on us. They should have known what it was actually, that it was medium density, and that's what they should have planned for. It's not our fault that they spent all this money on it. And I do understand that we are in a housing shortage, a crisis. But that doesn't just land on Elmer. That isn't just Elmer's problem to solve. But it still really irritates me. And I have other words that I would love to use right now.
Thank you.
I think it's, I don't like it. Thank you.
Understood. Okay. Yes, certainly. I think we've gone far enough with this. I'm going to ask to adjourn the public meeting so we can consider the actual resolution on this. Owen?
The council do now close the public meeting at 7:48 PM and reconvene the meeting of council.
Mover and seconder, Councilor Zosey and Deputy Mayor Barber, all those in favor? It's carried now. We have a recommended resolution.
That report, Plan 05-25, regarding the planning evaluation report, application for official plan amendment, OPA 01-25, and zoning bylaw amendment, ZBA 01-25, be received, and that the council of the town of Elmer adopt the proposed official plan amendment application, OPA 01-25, in accordance with bylaw 35-25, and forward the necessary documentation and the bylaw to Elgin County for approval, and that the council of the town of Elmer approve the proposed zoning bylaw amendment application ZBA 01-25 in accordance with bylaw number 37-25, and provide 3 readings to bylaw 37-25.
Thank you, mover and seconder.
Can I move to change the motion?
Let's put the resolution on the floor first, and then you can
Okay.
change. Deputy Mayor Barber was a mover, seconder, and Councilor Barber. Discussion.
I would like to move to amend the motion.
To amend the motion?
To amend the motion, yes.
And what would the amendment be?
To defer the application and to seek a third-party traffic study done and to assess the current traffic study as well by staff and to have that done at the developer's expense. You can make it sound more professional.
Right. I don't think we need to amend. I think it's a matter of just deferring the motion, correct? Do we need an amendment with a list of recommendations, or can we just defer it based on those recommendations?
Defer it with direction. With direction on the deferral.
Okay, so we can just defer it with direction, if that's okay. We can defer it with your direction. So you're moving to defer it with the direction that you've been given, that you've given the council. We need a seconder. Councillor Chapman. Second. Any discussion on the deferral? All right, seeing no discussion on deferral. All those in favor of deferral? And keep your hands up again, please. All those in favor of deferral? We have one, and that deferral motion is carried. Thank you very much. All right. All right, and next item is, it's so long on this one page of 7. We have another motion dealing with the public meeting under the Planning Act. Yes.
Council do now commence a public meeting at 7:51 PM to receive input from the public with respect to general housekeeping zoning bylaw amendment to the Town of Elmer Comprehensive Zoning Bylaw number 57-99.
Mover and seconder, Councillor Chapman and Councillor Desrosiers. All right. So.
It'll be me. This public meeting is taking place under the Planning Act 1990 as amended. At this public meeting, council will hear public representations regarding planning evaluation report, general housekeeping zoning bylaw amendment to the Town of Elmer Comprehensive Zoning Bylaw. Please note that those who do not provide comment or written submission prior to the decision of the appropriate authority may not be afforded the right to appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal. Council will hear comments in the following order: presentation of the staff report by the Manager of Planning and Development, agent or applicant, the public, staff, and the clerk.
Thank you. Could the manager of planning and development please provide the report?
Thank you, Your Worship. This proposed zoning bylaw amendment is essentially a housekeeping amendment to the Town of Elmer's zoning bylaw. So as you recall, we did a housekeeping amendment in 2024 to basically kind of fix and revise a few areas that had come up as concern, as well as fix errors within the zoning bylaw. One of the things that was discussed at that time that was not brought forward in that 2024 amendment was permitting and adding general provisions for mobile food trucks and carts. It is now, staff is of the opinion that that is an area we need to identify. Currently, our zoning bylaw does not permit them at all anywhere in this town. And we're getting lots of inquiries for these type of uses. So therefore, this is an item that we need to address through the zoning bylaw. As well as we also have discovered a couple other errors that we also need to fix as part of this housekeeping amendment. The draft of the housekeeping amendment zoning bylaw is attached to this report. In terms of planning policy review, as you know, council's decision-making needs to be consistent with the provincial policy statement. In terms of the county's official plan policies, zoning bylaw amendments must conform to the county's policies. In terms of the Town of Elmer official plan, again, the zoning bylaw must conform to our official plan policies. It's important for you to be aware in terms of consultation. A public meeting notice was published in the Elmer Express on April 16th, 2025. The application was circulated to town staff and no comments of concern were raised. And the reason why no comments of concern were raised is that the development services team, the department at the town, we worked collaboratively on this, proposing this housekeeping amendment to the zoning bylaw. We did get comments of support from Southwest Public Health regarding this, and they are asking to also be a part of what we're proposing in these regulations. As part of these regulations to permit portable food trucks and carts. We're also proposing a no-cost registration process so we can kind of keep track of the number of these type of businesses that are happening across the town. Southwest Public Health is in great support of that and is also asking to be a part of this. I guess they have what's called a notice of intent to operate a food premises form that they're asking that we could include as part of that registration, should this be approved. I did receive one public comment from Jim Thompson, owner of 264 John Street South. Mr. Thompson is requesting a site-specific zoning on his property to be updated. He currently has R2-3 zoning, which is exclusive to his property, and this permits a home occupation to be located within an accessory building in addition to any use permitted in the R2 zone. And just to give some background on Mr. Thompson's property, he's attached a letter to this report as attachment B. He notes that the property has historically been used for a business with a dwelling for over 80 years. Originally, the property was used as a transport yard with a single detached dwelling. Mr. Thompson has indicated that he has owned the property since 1984, and the transport yard was in operation at the time. At this time, Mr. Thompson started a landscaping business as well as continuing to rent out the property for a transport yard. Over time, that transport yard use no longer existed, and Mr. Thompson continued to operate his landscape business from 1984 to 2024, employed 16 to 20 people at peak times. The concern Mr. Thompson has with the current zoning on his property is that the home occupation regulations of the zoning bylaw do not permit anyone else beyond the person residing within the dwelling unit to be employed by the home occupation. Mr. Thompson, through his letter and in verbal discussion with myself, is requesting for this zoning to be updated to permit employees not residing in the dwelling unit to be employed in the home occupation. I did some digging in some of our old historical zoning bylaws. In terms of the bylaw numbers, a bylaw from 1969, 1986, and 1991, the R2-3 zoning permitted a transport terminal, home occupation with a dwelling unit. Zoning was changed on Mr. Thompson's property sometime between 1991 to 1999. I have not been able to find a site-specific zoning bylaw amendment for that property. As the current zoning bylaw, which is our bylaw number 5799, does not include a transport terminal, and it permits a home occupation with the accessory building and dwelling unit. As I said, I can't seem to find any files at Town Hall to indicate this change. Based on the information collected, it appears there's been a long-standing commercial residential use on this property. It's my opinion that Mr. Thompson's request is appropriate and that it can be addressed through this housekeeping amendment. I've also been reviewing neighboring municipalities' zoning bylaws for home occupation regulations, and they generally seem to permit one person who does not reside in the dwelling unit to be employed by the home occupation. Given the historical commercial residential use of these lands, it's my opinion to grant up to 3 persons who do not reside in the dwelling unit on the property to be employed by the home occupation. So that would be then the owner plus 3 additional people who do not reside on the property. This would ensure that the intent of the home occupation regulations, because this is within a residential community here as well, and home occupations are intended to be small scale in nature. We want to ensure that these home occupation regulations are maintained and we minimize impact to the neighboring property owners. So in conclusion, the proposed housekeeping amendment to the Town of Aylmer zoning bylaw will correct errors and amend areas of concern as a result of development review proposals since our previous housekeeping amendment. This public meeting is an opportunity for council and the public to review the proposed amendment and provide comments. I'm recommending that I prepare a revised draft bylaw based on comments noted in this report from Mr. Thompson and based on direction from council, and to bring that implementing bylaw forward for council's approval at the May 21st council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. Any members of the public wish to speak to this?
Good evening. I'm not much of a public speaker, but
Could we have your name, please?
Jim Thompson, owner of the property. You've already received the history of the property. I think if you go back, the property has been a business with employees for over 80 years. The property tax has not changed from 50% residential to 50% commercial since I've owned it. So it's always been the same. So I don't know why that change happened, do you? Nobody knows.
If I may speak to that, zoning and tax classes are different, and sometimes they don't always completely match. How you're taxed versus how you're zoned is, yeah, it's 2 different categories.
Okay. Any questions?
Councilor Susie.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to the member speaking, Jim Thompson, thank you for coming in. The recommendation that's in this report to allow 3 additional, is that acceptable? Do you have concerns with that? Could you expand on that, please?
I think 3 is probably acceptable to a local contractor that would like to purchase the property, such as a plumber, we'll say, electrician, and that would work for them. And they're not breaking any laws then, correct?
Okay. Okay, thank you, Mr. Thompson.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak? Right. Okay, seeing none, can we have I guess, a resolution public?
The council do now rise from the public meeting at 8:01 PM and reconvene the meeting of council.
Mover and seconder, Councilor Rahi and Councilor Oslach. All those in favor? It is carried. And then we have a resolution.
That report plan 06-25, planning evaluation report, housekeeping zoning bylaw amendment, ZBA 02-25 to the Town of Aylmer comprehensive zoning bylaw be received, and that council considered public input at the public meeting scheduled for May 7th at 7 PM, and that the council of the Town of Aylmer direct the manager of planning and development to prepare the implementing bylaw for the 2025 general housekeeping zoning bylaw amendment for consideration at the May 21st, 2025 meeting of council.
Mover and seconder, Councilor Rahi and Councilor Barber. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, and that is carried. Thank you. Item 5.2, delegations. We have Mr. Nathan McIntyre, I think, regarding the RIP current information product. Mr. McIntyre, did you have a question, Mr.?
Sorry to interrupt the meeting, Mr. Mayor. Through you, I'm asking if you would approve me being being able to leave for about 15, 20 minutes. I just have an emergency at work that I need to go address. And then I
Thank you.
can
Yeah, certainly.
return.
Thank you for asking. McIntyre.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and councillors, Elmer councillors. Thank you for receiving my delegation this evening. Everyone can hear me okay?
Yes.
My name is Nathan McIntyre, and I'm here to raise awareness of a little-known phenomenon called rip currents. I'd like to give you just a little bit of background about myself, just to get going here. So I'm a seasoned water safety professional with over 25 years' experience in aquatic rescue and marine operations. For 18 seasons, I served as a lifeguard on the main beach in Port Stanley, Ontario, where I was instrumental in developing the modern-day operations for the Central Elgin Beach Rescue Service. As a national lifeguard, I am certified in waterfront, and I have personally responded to hundreds of nearshore and offshore rescues in Port Stanley. I've built a successful marine rescue program. I'm just going to pull this a little closer to myself. I've built a successful marine rescue program for the Beach Rescue Service, responding to an average of 25 to 30 offshore vessel and medical emergencies annually. I expanded our local outreach, developing water safety presentations in public schools and contributing to community-wide events such as the Children's Water Safety Festival. My commitment led to the full integration of the Beach Rescue Service into the municipality's Fire Rescue Service Department, elevating aquatic rescue and aquatic safety and emergency response within the village of Port Stanley. It's a truly special and one-of-a-kind program in Ontario. My pursuit of marine knowledge has taken me around the world, from Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, to the Caribbean, Mexico, and the United States, including correspondence with Hawaiian lifeguards, studying best practices from leading surf rescue organizations. In 1998, a close friend, Jeff Brasser, a member of this community, lost his life to a fatal drowning in Port Stanley just 4 days before his 17th birthday. Myself, including Jeff's brother, and many other fellow peers witnessed this tragedy as we were enjoying the beach on the last day of high school. This incident ignited a lifelong mission to prevent further tragedies through awareness, training, and scientific understanding. Through years of observation and collaboration with scientists like Dr. Chris Hauser, coastal geomorphologist, Dean of Science at the University of Waterloo, I have come to understand this little-known phenomenon is a highly efficient and naturally engineered nearshore mechanism of drowning. I continue contributing to data collection for NOAA, or the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration's National Rip Current Database, with meteorologist Megan Dodson. Megan, myself, along with colleagues from the University of Michigan and other water rescue practitioners, co-founded the Great Lakes Water Safety Consortium. I currently serve as Ontario Regional Co-Representative, and I sit on the Ontario Data Metrics Committees. I sit on the board of the Elgin County Drowning Prevention Coalition as well, as a grassroots group initiated by Mary Kay Townsend and Briar McCaw, advocating for both fatal and non-fatal drowning prevention. My qualifications span beyond life-saving. I'm certified as a PADI scuba diver, open water, advanced open water. I'm a rescue diver, and I have a cave and cavern diving certificate. I have sea survival and marine firefighting certificates. I am a commercial captain, licensed in coastal navigation for 200-ton gross ton vessels, and I hold a sailing endorsement. I've logged thousands of nautical miles on the Atlantic Ocean, the Caribbean, and the Gulf of Mexico. I am a proud member of the Canadian Coast Guard Auxiliary for the Central Arctic Region, Search and Rescue, and I'm currently inactive in that role. I worked as a marine ecologist in the Guerrafon Eco Park Xcaret in Xel-Há in Mayan Riviera, Mexico, creating a restoration project for the Mesoamerican Barrier Reef System, as well as an eco-experience with East Coast bottlenose dolphins. I'm a registered massage therapist, a regulated healthcare professional in Ontario, and I hold multiple advanced medical certifications. On the heels of another tragic rip current-related fatality last year, 2024, in Port Stanley, I founded the Rip Current Information Project. It's a registered non-for-profit dedicated to raising awareness, correcting misinformation, and ultimately saving lives on the Great Lakes. For far too long, there has been misinformation circulating regarding Great Lakes undertow. Rip currents are the real phenomena that occur on every beach with breaking waves. The Rip Current Information Project is a community-driven initiative focused on education, awareness, and prevention surrounding Great Lakes rip currents, dangers on the Great Lakes. And through this project, I aim to bridge the gap between science and public safety. Excuse me. Excuse me. Ensuring that every swimmer, family member, friend, emergency responder, government in care of the Great Lakes beaches and are empowered with evidence-based knowledge to help others and themselves while staying safe and enjoying the water. So what is a rip current? NOAA's definition, or the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration's definition of a rip current, are powerful channeled currents of water flowing away from shore. They extend from the shoreline through the surf zone and past the line of breaking waves. And rip currents do occur on every beach with breaking waves, including the Great Lakes. Summer Lochnick, with the Department of Environmental Sciences at the Faculty of Environmental Sciences and the University of Waterloo, performed a research study titled Beach Users' Perception of Rip Currents and the Hazards on the Great Lakes in 2017, and her findings were, quote, evidence suggests that the public has limited knowledge of rip currents and are therefore not making informed decisions, which puts them at risk every time they go to the beach, end quote. This is a local issue here on the Great Lakes, and it's our collective issue. NOAA again reports that over 80% of surf rescues are due to rip currents. Dr. Chris Hauser notes that an average of 50 surf-related drownings annually on the Great Lakes, and many are attributed to rip currents. The University of Windsor reports that the economic burden of drowning fatalities in Ontario alone exceeds $380 million annually. And many of our public beaches lack lifeguards or active monitoring. Again, in 2024, we lost another life to a rip current in Port Stanley, and I think it's time that we do something about it. This year, in 2025, I am targeting Port Stanley, Port Burwell, and all of the surrounding communities with rip current messaging. To meet this challenge, I have founded the Rip Current Information Project, a community-driven registered non-for-profit focused on education, awareness, and prevention. To date, the campaign has created a recognizable symbol for rip current awareness. I've built an educational website. I've developed presentations for schools, emergency services, and governments, and I've delivered those presentations. I continue to do so as well. I'm producing promotional materials, including flyers, brochures, and I'm writing a children's book for grades K to 5. I'm currently in development with Van Pelt's in St. Thomas. I'm actively engaged with media, with MPs, with MPPs, and our Premier, Doug Ford. I have initiated conversations with the Life Saving Society to integrate this message into the public school curriculum because they're already integrated into grade 3 and grade 7. The reception so far has been overwhelmingly positive, but I'm just getting started, and I think that Elmer can also play a role in this. So tonight, I am asking for your support. And this could include promoting and offering space for me to deliver these presentations. I have an understanding rip currents as a presentation I've developed for the public. Assisting with outreach via municipal channels, Parks and Recreation or tourism, or your just public communication that you have with the public here. Endorsing and elevating the initiative as part of your broader commitment to public safety. And if you so choose to provide financial support to facilitate the operational activities, your voice and your partnership can help bring life-saving message to families across this region. The benefits are fewer injuries, lives saved, an enhanced reputation for public safety and proactive leadership, a stronger community engagement, particularly with the youth and the Mennonite community in this area, an alignment with the growing provincial movement around drowning prevention. And simply put, this support could save lives this summer. In closing, I invite the town of Elmer to assist Rip Current Information Project in fostering an informed water smart culture, to take the lead in ensuring that our residents and visitors alike can enjoy the beaches safely and confidently. And I would welcome the opportunity to host a presentation here again in Elmer. I'm eager to collaborate and to bring Rip Current information messaging to every corner of the town if I can. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McIntyre. Certainly happy to carry your message about rip currents in our communication networks. But council, questions, comments? Sorry, you can't hear me? I can hear myself really well, but I was just saying thank you to Mr. McIntyre, and I'm saying that we would be happy to carry his message in our communication system. So, council, have questions or comments? Deputy Mayor Barber.
Thank you, Your Worship. To Mr. McIntyre, Nathan, you're certainly a busy guy.
Thank you.
I wonder if the proper venue for your presentation would be through Parks and Rec. Something to tie in and perhaps to enhance the swim program.
Okay.
Councilor Sauzier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To Nathan, thank you very much for coming and presenting. A question about engagement with the high school demographic. What efforts have you explored thus far to engage specifically here in Elmer East Elgin? Has there been any, or do you
There
have
been-
any?
Sorry.
Go ahead. No, you're good.
No, there have been interest. So I'm absolutely willing to reach out to small groups of people. I'm trying to also, in the meantime, reach out to the broader province, really, but starting locally and kind of building here. So it depends on the teacher, and it depends on the principal, as far as I understand, as to their eagerness to want to go through the hoops to get me there a little bit. As far as the high school, I can get into, in East Elgin here, I can get in through the outdoor program. I forget the name of the program. It's the ELP, Outdoor Leadership, Environmental Leadership Program. I am grade banding this a little bit, so I'm taking a step back rather than just jumping into the schools right away. I'm kind of taking a step back and trying to develop a grade banded approach. So I'm taking it from kindergarten to grade 5, grade 6 to grade 8. And right now, I'm just doing grade 9 to 12. But grade 9, 10, 11, 12 will probably be more appropriate because of the science. As the grades, you get older there, the science is, I mean, there's PhDs in the science, so it can get pretty technical pretty quick. And there's opportunity for leadership there. There's opportunity for certification programs. There's 3 certifications that each high school students are required to achieve prior to graduation. So this, through the Life Saving Society, this could potentially be a certification, which I can bring to the schools there. Through the Life Saving Society, there's a Swim to Survive program in grade 3 and grade 7. So we're trying to get, I have a meeting with them last week, but they were sick. So it's going to be in, I think, next week, hopefully. And we.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
there's
you.
other ideas.
Right.
Yeah, I can keep going, I guess.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, we have a resolution. Thank you.
That the presentation from Nathan McIntyre regarding RIP Current Information Project be received for information.
We're in seconder. Councillor Rahier and Councillor Chapman, all those in favor? As carried, thank you. Item 5.2, Kelly Coho from YWCA St. Thomas Elgin delegating regarding the aquatic programs. Welcome, Kelly.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of council. On behalf of the YWCA St. Thomas Elgin, thank you for your ongoing support of aquatic opportunities for children, families, and individuals in Elmer and area. I'm Kelly Coelho, Director of Settlement and Wellness with the YWCA, and I'm here tonight with Melissa McDowell, YWCA Aquatics Coordinator, and YWCA Executive Director Lindsay Rice. We are grateful for the ongoing partnership and financial support from the town of Elmer in offering swimming lessons, life-saving training, and recreational swimming each summer season, and are committed to delivering these opportunities that prevent drowning and promote health and well-being. We are here this evening looking ahead to the summer 2025 season of swimming and the future sustainability of these local recreational services. There we go. The outdoor pool is the largest outdoor pool in Elgin County. And there's not just one pool at the facility, but 3 to enjoy, with a wading pool for younger children and their families to dip into, and a diving well for the more adventurous that want to make a bigger splash. These facilities have been a community draw throughout their history and continue to be well-loved community assets. Maintenance and recent facility improvements ahead of last season have been important in meeting established safety standards to provide this community amenity and quality services that bring people together to the pool. And people are coming to the pools. In fact, in 2024, there were over 5,300 visits to the pool over the summer season, not including all of the caregivers, friends, and siblings that came to spectate their young swimmers in progressing in their swimming lessons and learning how to swim through each week. Overall, in 2024-25, year-round registration and swimming lessons and life-saving training provided by the YWCA returned to and exceeded pre-pandemic levels, with over 1,128 folks registering. participation in recreational public swimming during the summer has also continued to increase over time, with 3,361 swimmers joining in last summer, but still has a way to go to get back to former levels. For registration and swimming lessons, greater growth occurred in sessional programs offered during fall, winter, and spring at the indoor pools at the Ontario Police College and Terrace Lodge. Last summer, a decrease in non-Elmer resident registration and swimming lessons resulted in overall fewer registrants than in 2023. As previously mentioned, although registration decline during the summer could be due to a variety of factors, substantially increased costs of swimming lessons for Elmer non-residents may have likely played a role. Equitable access to local recreational services is impacted by a number of considerations and often hinges on affordability. This is even more so when people are navigating high costs of living and facing difficult decisions around paying rent, eating a healthy meal, or learning how to swim. Municipal partnership and support, not only for local recreational facilities, but also for service delivery, is required to ensure aquatic program viability. In uncertain economic times, and with the tragic 2024 summer of drownings in southwestern Ontario, working together to foster access to affordable, local water safety education, swimming lessons, and supervised recreational swimming are key to drowning prevention, health promotion, and community vitality. Through our partnerships and shared resources, dedicated local staff and volunteers, and with funding support, the YWCA continues to deliver quality, responsive, year-round aquatic programming to have this impact in our communities together. And together is the only way we can do what we do. We are so grateful for ongoing community support, our partnership with the Town of Elmer, and financial support from other levels of government, grants, foundations, local businesses, service clubs, and private donors that all contribute to making these opportunities possible. Thinking of this summer in particular, if your group or business would like to sponsor an afternoon of free swimming, our swim sponsorship package is available on the YWCA website, and we'd love to connect. Last summer, with generous local sponsors, free swimming was available every Friday and Saturday afternoon at the outdoor pool. And we're hopeful that together we can make that happen again. Like other recreational programs, program fees collected for swimming do not and cannot be expected to cover costs of service delivery. While program fees have increased incrementally over time, they must remain comparable with other local jurisdictions. In fact, revenue from program fees in 2024 offset just under 30% of program costs, with financial support from the Town of Elmer offsetting just under 25%, and the other almost half coming from other levels of government and local sponsors. This slide demonstrates the different revenue sources from last summer that helped to cover the 2024 aquatic program delivery costs. As I mentioned when last before you, the YWCA works on ongoing to seek out and secure additional sources of funding to provide local aquatic programs. Over the years, through our regular reporting, presentations, and discussions, we've been bringing attention to the reality that these resources are not stable or consistent. They change year to year, require lengthy application processes, have eligibility criteria, and are often time or project limited. We typically do not know what resources will be available in April for the swimming season taking place in June. You can imagine the challenge this presents. For example, just last month, we received notification of funding decisions for multiple outstanding applications submitted as far back as October 2024, confirming that the extent of financial resources that have supported aquatic program delivery at the outdoor pool in Elmer in the past have either been extensively reduced or are simply no longer available. This slide demonstrates the forecasted funding shortfall for the season ahead, depicted by the light gray area in the chart. In uncertain economic times, we have forecasted revenue from local sponsorships and program fees to be between 80 to 90% of 2024 levels. Although program participation and sponsorship support has been trending upwards, we really don't know what this summer will bring. Approved federal funding for this summer has been reduced to approximately 1/3 of the contributed amount from 2024, and provincial funding that has been available in the past is no longer available. To address this funding gap, we respectfully request that the Town of Elmer consider granting additional financial support to the YWCA St. Thomas Elgin to deliver recreational aquatic services and water safety programming this summer at the outdoor pool. To maintain service levels, we are looking at a funding gap of approximately 40%. As you can see from the program support forecast provided by the town staff report, we operate on a lean budget. Staffing costs for direct service delivery account for the vast majority of expenses at approximately 84%. These are the people that deliver the service: program coordination, supervision, lifeguards, instructors, and water safety assistants. These staffing costs can fluctuate based on different factors, including but not limited to weather, participation, registration, and staff experience. However, as a 3-pool facility and the largest in Elgin County, lifeguard staffing must meet legislated safety and supervision requirements. We leverage additional staff support at a fraction of the actual cost to provide the required system administration, registration, office, and finance support, alongside communications and fund development that is needed to deliver these programs. Administration costs include costs that go along with providing oversight, seeking and securing resources, meeting legislative and reporting requirements, managing human resources, payroll, and risk, among others. At 12%, this is a reduced rate in comparison to administration costs for other YWCA programs that range up to 18%. There are significant cost savings, value for money, and positive impacts achieved in our collaborative approach and long-standing partnership to deliver aquatic services. We are thankful for the support of the Town of Elmer and staff in working together to review and modernize our agreement, including a financial arrangement that is more stable and predictable, to ensure local aquatic program viability and sustainability. This slide shows some of the highlights from last summer, as previously presented, that remind us of the impact and difference we make together. Through our partnership and program, families and individuals join in swimming in a supervised setting. They learn how to swim, how to be safe around the water, and also take on leadership roles through life-saving training, aquatic leadership, and lifeguarding to contribute to their community. We continue to work in partnership with the Elgin County Drowning Prevention Coalition, and we'll be recognizing the Life Saving Society's National Drowning Prevention Week from July 20th to 26th. As in the past, we look forward to support from the Town of Elmer in bringing awareness to drowning prevention through water safety. Summer swimming is more than just a way to cool off. For many in our community, it is the delight and treasure of joining in and the excitement for a chance to swim, learn, connect, and create lasting memories. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of council. We are looking forward to another season of swimming at the outdoor pool in Elmer and continuing to work collaboratively in enhancing individual quality of life and community health and well-being. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Caulfield. Council, questions? I note that the next report is going to be dealing with this matter as well. So do you have any questions or comments for Kelly at this point? Seeing none, we have a resolution.
The presentation from Kelly Coe regarding the 2025 Summer Aquatic Program be received for information.
Mover and seconder, Councillor Desrosiers and Councillor Rahi. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much, and thank you very much, Kelly, for that report.
Thank you.
Staff report, Manager of Parks and Recreation, Susie. No, we have, yes, so go ahead. We have a resolution first. Put it on the floor.
That report Recreation 06-25 entitled Elmer Pool Service Delivery 2025 Season be received for information, and that council proceeds with option B, enhanced service level as offered by the YWCA, and that council approve an additional funding allocation of approximately $61,545 and $12,780 from the council initiatives reserved to support option B for the YWCA's 2025 aquatics programming as a result of the current shortfall in external YWCA grant funding.
Okay, mover and seconder, Deputy Mayor Barber and Councillor Ozelach. Susie.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to council. I'm happy to bring this report to you. Heather and I, the treasurer, both co-authored the report, so there may be lots of questions that we can approach this as a team sport a bit. I'd like to thank Kelly for that wonderful presentation as well, and hope not to steal your thunder. I might also be tapping the experience of your team a bit in responses. So I'd like to begin by thanking the YWCA for their foresight and proactive leadership. The report before you tonight further illustrates staff's commitment to fostering and supporting community partnerships to benefit the residents of the town of Elmer. Although the report before you tonight requests that council consider an unbudgeted financial contribution, staff are pleased that a positive working relationship with the YWCA has resulted in a collaborative approach to finding a solution. Rather than waiting until November with a large invoice and no room to respond, the Ys come forward early, giving us the opportunity to act thoughtfully and responsibly. Staff, as Kelly had mentioned, are working collaboratively with the YWCA currently to update the existing service agreement for the 2026 season, which will be presented to council for review. As reported, options for service delivery are included in the report. Staff are recommending that council consider supporting option B. A justification for this support option is multifaceted. So option B represents enhanced service levels, which also represents the best value for our community, especially considering the high fixed costs that don't significantly decrease under reduced service scenarios. So staffing is a big part of that. The YWCA delivered exceptional results in 2024, as you enjoyed in the presentation, with over 5,300 program participants, 300 plus individuals in swim programs, and 3,300 recreational swim participants. Their efforts in securing grants and sponsorships, along with initiatives like free swims, demonstrate both innovation and community focus. So without this financial support, this critical programming, which promotes community engagement, active living, and water safety education and training, and I'd probably be remiss to leave out drowning prevention programming, is at risk. This model ensures program continuity and avoids placing the financial and logistical burden of aquatic programming on town staff, which we're not currently resourced to manage. Coordinating services with external community partners is highlighted in the Parks and Recreation Master Plan and further maintains the status of the outdoor pool as a local and regional attraction, as listed in the Master Plan. Staff recommend continuing to invest in what works and to provide exceptional services to the community. Approving option B not only secures summer programming for 2025, but also strengthens a valued partnership that enhances the well-being of our residents year after year. Thank you. And I'll perhaps invite Heather to offer comment.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Again, we want to thank Lindsay and Kelly and Melissa for coming forward ahead of the invoice in November. Last year, we had budgeted $20,000. The final invoice came in at $32,000, which prompted the discussion to say, you know, is there something here that we can help with? Is there anything we can get ahead of? Can we get this in the budget at the beginning of the season for you? Can we fund you at the beginning of the season so that, you know, you're not worried about our portion of the programming cost? And through that, we've, you know, discussed the agreement, come up with a bunch of ideas for council consideration, which will be presented as soon as we get through the rest of the draft. But they've educated us on their business model and, you know, comparing themselves to St. Thomas pools and everything else. They did all that due diligence. So at this point, I feel that we can support as staff that if council's willing to contribute the additional funds from council initiatives to continue on with this program, I believe that, you know, that's something that should be considered.
Okay, thank you. Council? Comments or questions? Councilor Desrosiers?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I support the recommendation from staff. I believe it is viable programming that is important for the town to invest in. In saying that, I also believe that receiving this information in this presentation highlights a very specific concern that I've had since last year. The presentation notes a decline in the non-resident registrations following the introduction of the non-resident fees. Through the chair to staff, would it be appropriate at this time for the town to reconsider this policy to support the access, funding, and program viability?
Did you want to handle it?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, certainly council can do anything that they desire. The $50 or the additional amount, the town was still substantially subsidizing all of this. And what we're looking at now is a vast increase in the amount that we're subsidizing this programming for this year, which I think staff and everybody is fully supportive of. But the amount of revenue that would be derived from that change would not alter the end picture. It would simply be the town subsidizing it more. Again, council can do whatever they want, but I don't think that the decline in non-residence fees of, I think it's 23%, are a significant factor in the financial picture that's before council tonight. And I don't know if there's much value reopening that issue if the other municipalities around us don't wish to contribute and we're stepping up the contribution again. I don't know if we want to have that discussion again with some of the other negotiations that are going on with our partners and neighbors.
Certainly understand the concern where it's coming from, Councilor Rosie. I don't think that this particular report is the place to do that. If you wish to pursue this, put it in a motion or notice of motion or something like that in the future, and council can discuss it again. Okay. Did you have something else to
Yes,
add?
just a follow-up. I agree. I think it could be definitely brought forward in a notice of motion. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think this presentation, though, specifically highlighted those shortfalls. Whether or not the town is contributing, we're obviously still contributing. But that significant loss in revenue, it's clear from that data is coming from non-residents, is impacting it, whether it's $1 or, a couple thousand. Like, it's still money that's lost from revenue based on a decision that was made by council. So I agree, maybe this isn't the time or place, but I think that presentation directly highlighted that concern, and that's something that I do plan on bringing back forward to this council at a later time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor Barber, you had a comment?
A couple of comments. First of all, swimming is a life skill. Everybody should have it. Secondly, it's unfortunate that our neighboring municipalities choose not to support the swim program. And to Councillor DeRosa's point, we're subsidizing people that don't live in the town of Elmer on the swim program already. To take that to another step is an extra burden on the people in the town of Elmer.
Okay. All right, thank you, Council. We have before us the recommendation to provide funding for the coming year. So let's stick to that in our comments right now. Councillor Rahi.
Thank you. I think the only option that we have is B, the one that's recommended. It is kind of unfortunate that whatever we used to get for funding, whether it was from other municipalities or the federal government or wherever that the shortfall has come from, it's too bad that it didn't continue, but it didn't. But anyways, I believe the only option that we have is to do option B. Thank you.
Councillor Chapman.
Through you, Your Worship, I agree with both Pete and Jason. It's a life-saving skill, and if we can prevent even one drowning, then it's worth the funds.
Thank you. We have a resolution on the floor. Seeing no other discussion, I would call the question. All those in favor of the resolution? And that is carried unanimously. Thank you. Next item, 5.24, Diane Lazenby presenting regarding dog parks. Diane.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Town Council. My name is Diane Lazenby, and I have been a resident of Aylmer my whole life. I'm here tonight to talk about the dog park, which I am a real lover of dog parks. I have been to several dog parks in the areas of Kincardine, Stratford, St. Thomas, Thamesford, it has always been a positive experience. Sometimes there are small incidents, but nothing major. Dogs are like children. They figure it out. I didn't hear about the survey of what the conclusion of the dog park came about, whether people are in favor or not in favor. But I think the dog owners in Aylmer, in our community, should have that option of a dog park. Some people will use them, some won't. It is up to the individual, but they seem very popular. Some still, for example, some small towns, for example, Tavistock, Thamesford, have dog parks. Aylmer is growing very fast in population. I believe it would be a great asset for this town. I have put down some of the needs of a dog park. Number one is signage at the entrance with rules and regulations. People will read them and ignore them, but they're there. And they need to be posted at the entrance. And there's some dog parks have 2 to 3 areas, one for small dogs, some for training or for dogs that are a bit aggressive. They have their own little area where they're not bothering other dogs, and then a big area where all the social butterflies connect together. They need, some dogs need it for training, others for just socializing. Shade is a number one importance because in summertime it's very, very hot. And some people like to take their dogs to the dog park before they go to work or when they come home. And in mid-July it's very hot, so shade is a necessity. They need park benches for people that have disability problems. Like myself, sometimes I have to sit down for a bit with my back. Water, the accessibility to water is important. Now, I have seen some people bring great big jugs, or some people bring their own water bottles with their own watering dish. It's entirely up to them, but water is a necessity. And it needs to be a double-gated entrance where you go in one gate, close it, and then go into another gate and close it. It's a safety issue, so that some dogs don't just tear off out nowhere. Poop bag dispensers. It's not a big deal. I mean, poop bags are at the dollar store. Garbage dispensers is a very good idea. Some at Highbury Ave Dog Park, they have the garbage pails outside of the fencing area, about 3 or 4 of them around the area, so that when people pick it up, they just have to walk over to the other side of the fence and put it in. Dog owners need to use common sense when it comes to your dog. Some dogs have social issues. If they're skittish or if they're nervous, anxiety, aggression, then a dog park is not a good idea for their dog. I have heard that people, when they have a rescue dog, they bring it into the dog park with a leash and a nose guard, like a lead thing, and they walk the dog close to them and they get the dog used to the other dogs, especially rescue dogs. If they've never been socialized, it's very difficult for them. But the guy that I was talking to, and he said it was the greatest thing he ever did for that dog, because now the dog goes and the other dogs know to leave it alone, and he just does his thing and has fun all by himself. So the pros of the dog park is socializing your dog with other dogs. Dogs like to be dogs. They run, they sniff, they like to greet, they wrestle. They wrestle, they play. They have to learn social skills, and it's a good way to do it. It helps them. It helps their mental stimulation. Exercise is beneficial for the purpose of physical and mental health, well-being, and a tired dog is a happy dog. They like sight and smells. They like meeting lots of different dogs. They like meeting people. I have a dog that would rather be with the people than be with the dogs. dog walkers use dog parks quite frequently because they go to everybody's house that they look after their dog, take them for a walk for them while they're working, and they take them to the dog park and let them run. It's a great idea. The dogs get along well. I've never had or never seen a bad experience. And it's good for rescues to socialize. And the cons are, if dogs aren't vaccinated properly, then you shouldn't take them to a dog park. And some people don't vaccinate their dogs, like for the kennel cough shot and stuff like that, but that's their fault. It's not the dog park's fault. Infections can also come up, and bullying and aggression, but you know your dog, so you shouldn't take your dog to a dog park if it's aggressive. It's just simple common sense. But this, I've seen a few things on signages, and it says no prong collars, which is a great idea because it's like those are dangerous if the dog gets it caught in their mouth. No unneutered male adult dogs. No toys because that causes fights. No aggressive dogs, and pick up after your dog, and dogs must be totally vaccinated. So that's all I have to say. I'm a dog lover, and I've wanted a dog park in Aylmer for years. They had a little one over by the arena, but it never worked out. But I think with people traveling now through Canada, you know, if they're in a motorhome or something, if Aylmer had a dog park, they could stop and give their dog some exercise and let it do its business, and away they go. That's just an example.
Thank you. So thank you very much for that presentation, Ms. Reisenby. Note to councillors that we'll be dealing with this in the next report. So we have a resolution.
That the delegation from Diane Lazenby regarding dog parks be received for information.
Mover and seconder, Councillor Rahi and Councillor Oslach. All those in favor? And it's carried. Thank you. Thank you very much again, Ms. Lazenby. Item 5.2, staff reports relating to the dog park resolution.
That report CAO 24-25 regarding off-leash dog park, public input be received for information.
Mover and seconder, Councillor Oslach and Councillor Rahi. And you're doing this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is the third report on an off-leash dog park this year. It includes the results of the survey undertaken by the town. This survey had a very high level of participation. We're always hopeful that such surveys will delineate a clear path forward, but sometimes, like in this case, it does leave us with significant levels of ambiguity on an issue. So while there are a lot of great insights in this survey, staff do not have any clear preferred option that we would be able to advance to council. Certainly, council can identify a location along with a budget amendment and provide input on amenities that they wish, if they wish for this to be considered or advanced in 2025. As referenced in the staff report, there's no funding for an off-leash dog park in the 2025 budget. The report also highlights that a dog park is a medium to long-term priority in the adopted Parks and Recreations Master Plan. So if one of the options doesn't resonate with council now, staff will still continue to work on this project, and the project will still move forward. So if council receives this report for information, it doesn't mean that you're defeating a dog park. You're just indicating that you will schedule it during your budget deliberations as a future capital project. Again, it's entirely up to council whether or not you want to desire to identify a specific location and undertake a budget amendment. However, staff don't believe that the survey contained a clear outcome that would result in staff making such a recommendation to council, if that makes sense. And with that, I'll try to answer any questions of council.
Council, questions? Councillor Rahi.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor. I think a dog park would be nice for dog owners that take their dogs to a dog park. I'm not one of them, but I think we should put it off for a bit. We obviously don't have the funds for it. I'd be for at least coming up with maybe a clear plan. Looking at that, what was it called? No, what we just did. The survey, I mean, it was a 50-50, so People want them, people don't, and we don't have the extra money to do it right now, and I don't think we have a really good location to do it right now, so I think we should come up, take a little bit of time and come up with a better plan. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Barber.
Thank you. I echo Councillor Rahi's thought to put it down the road a little bit, but not to push it off the radar. Something nice to have, but it's a split in the town, roughly 50-50. And as was stated, we don't have the money at this particular time, but it would be an enhancement somewhere down the road.
Councillor Desrosiers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a clarification through you to staff about process. So let's say council did identify the complex, for example, as an ideal location. We have another municipal partner that is at that location managing it with us. Would this council budget for it first and then have the discussions with the municipal partner? Or would we have a discussion with the municipal partner first to see if there was any interest? And if there was, go from there? Because if we did a budget-friendly dog park, I think the ballpark was around 30,000, and the town was in favor of, putting about 30% down, like $10,000, and then seeking support from the public to fundraise for the other remaining amount. That's not a huge amount. And I think there's been 46% that were opposed, but there was also 54% that were in favor. So I agree that I don't think we should put it off, but I would like clarification as to if we do identify a location as for example, the complex, what comes first, council budgeting or having the discussion?
Well, that's a hypothetical situation, of course, and maybe other but, I think Elmer will do is what Elmer wants to do, pretty much, I think, and I think we should kind of discuss this further through Finance Committee.
Okay,
Did you
thank
have any further comment on that?
No, I'd just suggest that if we did want to do the ECC, yes, we would have discussions. It's just the window to get something constructed in the fall of 2025 is relatively short. And
Okay.
again, there's no budget. So I think that would shift it to a 2026 project if you wanted.
Thank you.
Okay. Seeing no other further discussion, although resolution on the floor, all those in favor of the resolution to receive for information? And that is carried. Thank you very much. We will have a brief recess. We've been at this almost 2 hours. Say to the people out there, we won't be long. We'll be 5 minutes and we'll be back. So have a recess now. So Michelle will be back.
We're good. We're back on.
Hello, everyone. Next item on the agenda is action items, deals with not action items yet, consent agenda resolution.
That the May 7th, 2025 consent agenda be received for information, and that the included recommendations within the staff reports be adopted, and that council approves the minutes of the special meeting held on April 2nd and the regular meeting of council held on April 16th.
Mover and seconder, Councillor Chapman, Councillor Desrosiers. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? That is carried. Item 7, action item 7.1, managerial planning and development resolution.
That the council of the town of Elmer receive report plan 07-25 regarding planning evaluation report application for consent to sever number E2825, and that the application for consent to sever E2825 related to the property legally described as Lot 95, NS, Forest, WS, John, Registered Plan 164, and municipally known as 45 and 47 Forest Street be supported in principle with the recommended conditions for reasons set out in the report, and that this report be forwarded to the Land Division Committee for its review and consideration.
Mover and seconder, Councillor Chapman, Deputy Mayor Barber. Heather.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm going to keep this really brief here. This severance application is essentially to sever an existing semi-detached residential building into 2 units. So essentially what that means is that each semi-detached unit would have its own separate ownership for the unit as well as the land. In terms of planning policy review, the only thing I want to note is that when Development Services team was reviewing this proposed severance, we noted that the rear decks on these semi-detached units will not meet the interior side lot line or interior side yard setback because of the new lot line that will now go down in between these 2 units. We have looked into it. These decks meet building code requirements. There is no concern on that. It's just a concern in terms of zoning because we're now putting a lot line in between these units. So therefore, I've added in a condition into the severance that a minor variance application is required to address this condition or this deficiency. So in conclusion, planning staff, essentially this application meets the provincial policy statement 2024, meets county official plan policies, town policies, and that the severance application be supported in principle and be forwarded on to Land Division Committee subject to the conditions in the report. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Council, questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of the report, and that is carried. Thank you. 7.2, Director of Emergency Services, Fire Chief, resolution.
That report Fire 02-25 regarding the Elmer firefighters' donations be received for information.
Mover and seconder, Councillor Rahi, and Councillor Desrosiers. Chief.
Good evening, Your Worship, members of council. I'm very happy to bring in a couple of good news stories this evening. First is the fabulous work by our firefighters on raising money and donations to the Town Elmer Fire Department. Although this is nothing new, I want to recognize and appreciate the work that these men and women do, and just as importantly, the community members, residents that support their fundraising efforts. Together, they have made a significant difference in firefighting and community safety, so join me in expressing our gratitude to them both. Secondly, I would like to share with council tonight that the Elmer Fire Department was successful in securing their firehouse sub-grant for over $22,000 to purchase a digital fire extinguisher trainer. This will allow us to provide Elmer industry, business, and residents with valuable training on the proper use of fire extinguishers anytime, anywhere. We are thrilled to bring this to the community and have already had several businesses reach out to the fire department asking for exactly this kind of training. Thank you, council. I'll answer any questions that you have for me tonight.
Yes, thank you very much for those 2 good news, council. Any comments, questions? Councillor Desrosiers.
No questions, just applauding and extending the gratitude further. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Very good. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Item 7.3, Director of Operations on the resolution.
That report Operations 06-25 entitled 2024 Reserve for building permit fees, update be received for information.
Mover and seconder, Councillor Rahi and Councillor Chapman. Who's doing that? Oh, sorry, Terry.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, I don't have much to add to the report before Council. This is an annual report to identify any surplus funds remaining from the building permit fees. The Building Department had a very busy year in 2024. Building permit fees totaled $328,000. Any costs above the direct costs for the Building Department will be placed into the building reserve to offset any future years if the department operates in a deficit position. On that, I'd be happy to answer any questions Council might have.
Thank you, Council. Deputy Mayor Barber.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just makes sense to put some money aside for those lean years, and this report does that.
Anyone else? Okay, all those in favor of the resolution, and that is carried. Thank you. 7.4, Director of Operations, Area-Wide Network Resolution.
That report, Operation 07-25, entitled Contract Award Elmer Wide Area Network Services, be received for information, and that the council award the 5-year wide area network service contract to Hamilton Community Enterprises, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to execute the agreement with Hamilton Community Enterprises following the terms and conditions in the RFP document and wide area network services proposal submission.
Mover and seconder. Councillor Chapman, Councillor Desrosiers. Who's doing that one? Andy? Oh, no, I'm sorry. Terry's doing that one. Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you to members of Council, this report relates to the award of a wide area network to supplement the SCADAS program. An RFP was posted for various options to provide the services, either hardwired or wireless networks, or various options to provide a wide area network to the town. The goal is to link all the critical operation locations in town, that being the 5 pump stations, lagoons, the water tower, all to a central operations site. The RFP included a technical submission and a financial proposal. The financial proposal was not opened unless the technical analysis received a minimum score of 60%. We received a total of 7 submissions. Of those, 3 met the technical score and had the cost proposal evaluated. The proposal from Hamilton Community Enterprises was the highest scoring proposal. They will provide the equipment required to provide a secure LTE connection to their core network. That has multiple redundancies to multiple carriers such as Rogers and Bell. They have 24/7, 365 support that they provide. They provide these same services to many municipalities in Ontario. We checked the references, and they were very well regarded from various different references. The cost of the 5-year term is $201,240. This includes all the installation costs and monthly charges for a total of 5 years. In summary, staff would recommend the award of the wide area network services to Hamilton Community Enterprises, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that council might have on the
Council? Seeing none, all those in favor of the resolution? It is carried. Thank you. 7.5, Director of Legislative Services, Council Composition Resolution.
That report, Clerk 20-25, regarding council composition follow-up be received for information, and that council directs staff to provide public notice of council's intention to consider a change in council composition per the requirements of the Town of Elmer Notice Bylaw 29-19, and that council directs staff to prepare a bylaw under Section 217 of the Municipal Act to change the composition of council effective for the 2026 to 2030 term, such that the council consists of 1 mayor and 6 councillors elected at large, eliminating the separate office of the deputy mayor elected at large, and that council directs staff to further include necessary bylaw amendments to appoint the councillor who receives the highest number of votes in the 2026 municipal election as deputy mayor, and that council directs staff to prepare an additional amendment to define the deputy mayor's duties and responsibilities for the 2026 to 2030 term as part of the policy and procedures review for strong mayor powers.
Great, thank you. Mover and seconder. Deputy Mayor Barber and Councillor Oslach. Okay.
Through the mayor to council, I'll be brief with the presentation of this report, as I think the report's quite clear on the recommendation. This is a follow-up to a previous report which noted this idea to council in 2023, Report Clerk 39-23. And the aim of this change would be to improve electoral competitiveness, as well as align the composition of council with the changing strong mayor power framework within the Municipal Act. So currently, council is composed of a mayor, a separately elected deputy mayor, as well as 5 councilors. The proposed change would eliminate the elected deputy mayor position and instead select the deputy mayor from the pool of councilors, with the specific recommendation being the councilor that receives the highest number of votes. This would have the effect, for example, in the last election, of reducing the risk of uncontested or acclaimed seats by combining the race for both deputy mayor as well as the current 5 members of council, what would be 6. If council has any questions about this, there is a process that we have to go through. Our notice bylaw requires us to give public notice before we consider the bylaw. So if council wants to proceed with this, we would issue notice and then come back in probably June.
Council? Councillor Rahi.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Owen, is this something that is common in municipalities our size?
Yes, it is common. Within Elgin County, because other municipalities have seats on the other council, or sorry, Elgin County Council, as well as ward systems, we're unique in Elgin County in that all of our races are at large. All councilors are elected by the entire population. So in Malahide, for example, they could not make this change because it just wouldn't work there. Yes. So in municipalities like ours, like Tillsonburg, this is the method that they use. Municipalities do differ on how they actually select the deputy mayor. What I'm suggesting is we specifically adopt the approach that the councillor with the most votes is appointed on that title, which it is used in some municipalities.
Anyone else? Councillor Josier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, can staff confirm whether any of the solutions emphasized by AMO's Healthy Democracy Project were explored before recommending this structural change?
I can say that we've reviewed those recommendations, and I believe we included them in a past report to council. Some of the changes, or not changes, but some of the engagement efforts that we're planning for the 2026 election. But it is both the recommendations from the previous report in terms of including greater inclusivity in the election, as well as acknowledgement of strong mayor powers, which went into effect May 1st, where we have one independently elected member of council who has a significantly different set of powers under the Municipal Act versus another member who would also be independently elected with a very similar title, and they do not have those powers. So it is a bit of a improvement to the understandability of council. The new deputy mayor role, it would receive its powers and its duties strictly from council, and council would be appointing them to that position. So,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I attended the Healthy Democracy forum that was put on by AMO, and council composition was not a solution that was actually emphasized by that discussion. Solutions that were discussed were to address the shortage of municipal candidates were candidate mentorship, civic education reform, and improved public engagement, especially with elections. So I'm glad you guys are looking at that. Personally, I believe instead of changing the election rules, we should be focusing on those solutions as core solutions. Elmer has historically elected its deputy mayor directly for decades, and I think that really reflects the trust, the transparency, and the belief that leadership should be earned openly, not assigned. So again, I think to strengthen democracy, we need to expand public choice, not limit it. So for these reasons, I will be opposing this recommendation. Thank you.
Anyone else? Did you have a comment, Andy?
No, just to assist for council's understanding, the strong mayor powers can only be gained through election. So right now, well, previous to May, we had a situation where if the mayor was on leave, the deputy mayor would assume all the role of the mayor. That doesn't exist anymore, and so what we're kind of suggesting is we don't want to eliminate people who would get the more votes. If you have 4 people running for deputy mayor and only 1 person gets in there, you might be losing a lot of really qualified or talented people to represent. You might be losing business leaders who could instead compete for council, and then it's the electorate through their votes that actually selects it, because it's the highest vote, the member with the most votes who would be them. So that's, I think the strong mayor change is important, because the deputy mayor's role won't really have any function aside from what is assigned by the mayor.
Did you have a follow-up comment?
Yes, just to clarify that, so whether it's assigned through what you're suggesting or whether it's elected, how is this change? I don't understand how this is changing that. Like, it's still not, it's still the same outcome, it's just a different process.
All right. I think, in the discussion with this, but I think the main reason why we would go there is because, and I think Andy said this, is that we're not looking at items of democracy. We're looking at the fact that you have a number of people who would all be very good councillors. If the deputy mayor were elected, then 3 of those, or whoever was running, would not be part of council. This allows people who are high-quality people to still be part of council, depending on the votes they get. So I think it's a better way to kind of encourage people to be part of council. So let's leave it at that. You indicated you were opposing this. Any other comments? Deputy Mayor Barber.
Thank you. As the existing deputy mayor, I've been humbled and honored to try to fulfill that role to the best of my ability. And as such, I haven't quite decided where my position is as far as support or not of this particular change in the structure. But it, as has been mentioned, it would potentially reduce the number of times that the members of council were acclaimed, rather than, and at the same time potentially lose the candidates, the multiple candidates that may be running for the same spot. It's a rock and a hard place. But as I said, I haven't made up my mind yet which way I'm going to lean.
Councillor Rahi?
Do we have to decide on this tonight, or can we defer it?
We do have a timeline, right?
Yes. So council's direction tonight would just, staff would proceed to post notice of intention. The bylaw would come back to council, and council could approve or deny it.
In a democracy, typically the person with the highest vote receives the position. So this is not a go against democratic principles of any kind. Any other comments? All right, we have a resolution on the floor. All those in favor? Can we have the hands up again, please? All those in favor, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that is carried. Thank you. Item 7.6. Director of Legislative Services, AGM voting representative, a resolution.
That report clerk 21-25 entitled Earth AGM Voting Representative and Attendance List be received for information, and that council designates blank as the town representative for the purpose of casting a vote at the 2025 Earth AGM on Thursday, May 29th, 2025, and further that council directs staff to take the necessary follow-up actions to communicate the representative and attendance related information to the corporate secretary prior to May 16th, 2025 deadline.
Mover and seconder, Councillor Chapman and Councillor Oslach. I would like to be the person that is designated as the voting member for Earth, but leave it up to council to decide. Councillor Chapman.
Through your worship, I would like to attend, so whoever it represents is fine, but I would like to attend the event.
Certainly. I'll need a mover and a seconder for somebody to be Councillor Desrosiers. And, well, a mover, who are you moving to be okay. And you will second that, Councillor Chapman. All right, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Is carried. Thank you very much. Director of Financial Services. Treasurer. Resolution.
That report finance 09-25 respecting the asset management plan be received for information, and that council approve the updated asset management plan for 2025 and direct staff to provide periodic updates as required.
Mover and seconder, Councillor Chapman and Deputy Mayor Barber. Heather?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. Through you and to members of council, staff have created this document using the 2024 actuals and the latest tangible capital assets that are with audit right now. So basically, we've updated some current replacement values, and the reason why this is so important is because it feeds into the current replacement value template that's provided by the ministry, which dictates OSIF. So we had done this, and we had done a bunch of work. Terry, I'm taking credit for Terry's work, but Terry has done everything right down to the asphalt cost for the majority of the assets from 2022 onward, and which has allowed us to gain the fact that we can fund our roads now, and which has improved on the report card. So we're hitting our funding targets. We can't fund everything, but we're at least hitting the target that was outlined in this asset management plan. So I wanted to, this shouldn't be a yearly update, but I am updating this yearly based on every time we get new information for parks or recreation or large assets that we're implementing, like the water tower, because it substantially changes what is required to fund. So in short, this is basically to approve for the OSIF template that's going to go out tomorrow, but mostly, I'd also like to discuss this going into, now feeding into the actual finance committee discussions, because, you know, now that we've had a couple years, we know our OSIF number, we know our town's capital contribution from asset management plan, we have an idea of how much debt we might have to issue and the principal and interest to fund the current plan if we do want to do the major old town hall upgrades or town hall upgrades. We also have a budgeted proposed amount that we should work towards as a council and as a team to make sure that we at least have a little bit more funding going into those reserves. But primarily, this is a ministry requirement. Right now, we're only funding just under 50% of our asset management plan, which is better than a lot of municipalities, but we still have a ways to go. So that's what's before council tonight, and that's the reason why we have to approve these updates with council's blessing tonight that will feed into that template.
Council? Councillor Desrosiers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have two questions. Firstly is the funding gap. So I just want clarification through you to staff, whether or not strategies will be brought forward to the budget committee to identify and address those like with suggestions. Like, is that coming to the budget committee?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, great question. So yes, because basically those funding gaps will be determined by which council priorities occur through the capital plan. So any of those, budgeted large expenditures like Old Town Hall or Town Hall upgrades, some of them can still be paid through reserve, but when we get into the $1 million or $2 million mark, I'm going to suggest that they start getting funded through debt. So that would be a funding strategy in itself. Obviously, we need a shovel-ready project to put out for grant funding. I don't want to just jump and issue debt for everything. That's not how I like to operate, but I do like to have, each project approved by council, shovel-ready, shelf-ready project for grant funding, shop around, get a combination of debt, grant, reserve. That seems to be the most palatable. Try to keep as much as we possibly can off the levy. If we can come up with a plan for every project for the next year and then move on to next 2, 3, 4 years, that would be ideal. But right now, we're still going year by year because we are trying to close that gap that was historically created for the last 20, 30, 40 years.
Thank you very much. My second question is regarding public communication. So while this is a lovely document and it's very complicated, It's just that. Is our staff able to create tools such as like a simplified report card or infographics to clearly communicate the key priorities and progress for the public?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor DesRosiers, there is maybe it's not simple to everybody, but it's simple to me. So I would be open to suggestions on the report card tab itself. So there is a report card tab. This year, I showed the report card from 2024 and 2025 so that you could see the green check marks on the right-hand side. So this would be Appendix D of the report. And basically, maybe the next one down, Michelle. Yeah. So there's the report card for 2024, and then if you scroll down to the next report card for 2025, you'll see that now some of those have changed to green check marks. So we're meeting the condition target for all of the categories except for vehicles. That is the next major discussion we have to have with council at the capital table. We're not meeting the condition target. So these averages basically are skewed because of our vehicles we're running our vehicles into the ground. Okay, that's the short of it. But the other good part of this report card between 2024 and 2025 is we are now meeting some of our funding targets by those green check marks is what I've used on the right. Those numbers mean nothing to you or I even until we look at the data files, which I understand. But the funding target for roads is now actually being hit because of the good tendering from Elk Street, the OSIF money that we're actually getting now consistently. We only used to get $250,000, now we're getting $772,000. So now that we're getting all those grant funds, they help us meet those funding targets. Or now that these things are actually in the plan, like streetlights was never in the plan for the last 10 years, how could we ever meet the funding target if it was never in the plan? So now it's at least in the plan. We can figure out a way that we could probably afford streetlights through debt issuance or through reserves. So this is a simple infographic. As far as the engagement platforms, we're going to trial some things with the budget process. I'd be happy to work with Michelle on that type of stuff and make this document interactive so that people could click and see different things or see different assets or see what the conditions are of some of these vehicles. But baseline document, that's what we have right now. I'd be happy to take any suggestions that council may have to make it simple.
Sorry, just to follow up, it is for us, I think, who understand the system, it is easy for us, but for the average citizen, I just feel like it's a lot, right? So if staff are able to maybe work with Michelle or Chelsea and work on an infographic that kind of communicates the information but in a very simplistic way, I think that would be extremely beneficial to our residents and especially for communication and transparency. So I would make that suggestion to staff if they're able to do so. Thank you.
All right. Rest assured, I will work with staff to do that. All right. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of the resolution, that is passed. Thank you. Carried. Where are we? 7.8, Director of Legislative Services Bylaw Appeals Committee resolution.
That council appoints all 7 members of council to the Bylaw Appeals Committee of the Town of Elmer, and that council directs staff to proceed with a bylaw for approval.
Mover and seconder, Councillor Chapman and Councillor DesRosiers.
I will keep this report very brief. We require the Bylaw Appeals Committee to sit to address an issue, and I'm hoping that council can appoint all members of council to the committee so that we can address the issue at before the next meeting of council.
Okay, questions? Councillor DesRosiers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a question for staff through you. Would it be more streamlined to have less members on the committee, or do you feel it would be best to have all 7 of us?
Well, I feel that all members of council should be there rather than just a few. So it was my recommendation to have the entire council, and I'm going to stay with that. Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? And there's carried. Thank you. And so new business and matters of urgency. None. Readings of bylaws and proceedings thereon. Resolutions.
that council gives 3 readings to and approves. Bylaw 31-25, being a bylaw to authorize the signing of an agreement between the Corporation of the Town of Elmer and Unisys Software Incorporated for Parks and Recreation Management Software. Bylaw 32-25, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 43-24, being a bylaw to adopt the delegation of powers policy. Bylaw 33-25, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council held at the regular meeting on April 16th, 2025. Bylaw 34-25, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 50-19, being a bylaw to establish the rental criteria for the Town of Elmer-owned facilities, sports fields, and pavilions. Bylaw 35-25, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 70-19, being a bylaw to establish the rental criteria for the Old Town Hall Community Theater in the Town of Elmer, and bylaw 39-25, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 38-22, being a bylaw to make the necessary council and citizen appointments to committees and boards.
Mover and seconder, Councillor Rahi and Deputy Mayor Barber. Any questions or comments by council? Seeing none, all those in favor of the resolution, that is carried. Thank you. Inquiries by members? Statements, committee reports by members. Councillor Chapman.
Through you, Your Worship, I just want to thank all of the community members who came out for the park cleanup day, and they did a great job, and I hope that we can have this event on a regular basis.
Anyone else? Deputy Mayor Barber.
Thank you, Your Worship. I had an opportunity to accompany you on a couple of events where you brought greetings from the town. 2 weeks ago, the Elmer Evangelical Missionary Church held their 125th anniversary, and the following Saturday, last Saturday, MCS had their annual meeting. And on Monday of this week, you rose the flag in celebration of Mental Health Week. Appreciate your efforts.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, a report of the mayor. I do want just a brief comment because in the last couple of weeks, there have been lots of the discussion about the complex and the library, and I just wanted to just remind everyone who's tuning in that, you know, the town has taken kind of the lead in this, although it seems like we have not done very much at all in this, but we did take the lead beginning in November of last year in asking county to form a committee, and that got kind of railroaded by the complex motion that the complex asked to have the library there. So the original request by Elmer got lost in terms of the county doing that. So I want to thank the county for taking the lead kind of looking for an expanded library for Elmer. I'm not very happy with county's stance that they will sign a lease with anybody. It used to be for decades that the county would only sign a lease with a municipally owned building, and that got changed in the last report to county. And despite my efforts, county did not wish to go back to that original kind of stipulation that they had. Nevertheless, county has taken, put a lot of work into looking at the expanded library at the complex, and I applaud them for that. That's all I want to say, basically. I think that, the Elmer has always been part of this, and this, for the first time ever, the county has now become part of this whole process. So we're kind of waiting for that process to go through. And I think it's mainly gone through because last night's meeting was kind of the consultation process with the public. So the next step for county is to make a report to county. All right, next item, notice of motion. I have a notice of motion. Did you have a notice of motion as well?
Would it be fair, Your Worship, to do mine first?
Certainly.
Thank you. Whereas Canada's sovereignty and national identity are foundational to the unity and pride of its people, and this is a time for Canadians and residents of the town of Aylmer to express their pride in being Canadian. And whereas both the business improvement area and the Aylmer Legion currently display banners on town light poles along John Street and Talbot Street in the downtown area, whereas a set of banners for the downtown typically cost approximately $2,500, with additional costs related to Parks and Recreation staff time required for the installation and removal, and whereas Canada Day is approaching, providing an opportunity to visibly express community pride and unity, now therefore be it resolved that, staff be directed to purchase a set of Canadian flag banners for installation on the existing banner locations along John Street and Talbot Street. Secondly, that the Canadian flag banners be raised to coincide with Canada Day celebrations and foster community spirit, and the required funds for this project be drawn from the council initiative reserves. And further, that this motion be circulated to the BIA for their awareness.
Thank you, and that would be, you want it brought forward at the next meeting of council?
Yes, please.
All right, thank you. Anyone else notice a motion before? All right. I have a notice of motion. It's rather long, despite the fact there are no whereases to it at all. But I will give you a copy of the notice when I'm finished going through it. And I would like this notice of motion to be presented to council at the next council meeting. The notice of motion will read that council approve, in principle, the construction of an 8,000 square foot building to be leased to the County of Elgin for library purposes, and that a letter of intent as required by the County of Elgin be sent, and that the County of Elgin be asked for a long-term lease of 20 years, and that the County of Elgin be asked to establish a fundraising committee for this building, and that council single source the design of the new library to the town's appointed engineering firm, which is GEI Consultants, to proceed as soon as possible in 2025. And that GEI be directed to place priority upon a design that connects the old town hall on both floors and is in keeping with the existing character and design of the old town hall. And that GEI also be directed to examine costing for a standalone building in close proximity to the old town hall, and that the interior design considerations be in collaboration with the County of Elgin, and that a 2025 budget amendment of $250,000 be approved by council towards the detailed engineering and architectural design sufficient to meet grant requirements, and that this amount be funded through the council initiatives reserve. Thank you. I want to just give a copy of that to everyone. All right. Thank you. There is no meeting closed to the public. We do have a resolution to adjourn.
The council do now adjourn at 9:36 p.m.
Mover and seconder, Councilor Rahi and Councilor Oslage. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you.